Now, I'm sure you're all tired of the mainstream social norms that they hide behind. The mainstream logic, uh, which is basically mainstream logical fallacies. The mainstream nonsense. The mainstream misconceptions. The mainstream cowardice. So this video is about three things, really. One, why I have never found a woman who is worthy of me. But some of my viewers have come close. Two, the injustice or the unjust policy of putting people in psych wards. And three, why haven't targeted individuals went out of their way to highlight my martial arts challenge? I mean, this is a story here. Gang stalking, or psychological warfare rather, is a big story. It's bigger than Tamir Rice, Mike Brown, Kendrick McDade, and all the black people who are famous in the news for being killed by police put together. Let me tell you why. It is not just the tale of one incident of police misconduct, the political abuse of law enforcement, the political abuse of authority, and the insincerity of the media and the politicians. But this is an ongoing occurrence. You know, these are ongoing occurrences, rather. This is continuous. Every single moment of every day, law enforcement, psychiatry, the media, politicians, the people who are supposed to do the right thing, expose this, stick up for us, things of that nature. You know, every moment of every day they fail us. The intelligence agencies, the military who are involved, who should be blowing the whistle on this. Every moment of every day they fail us as a group, you know, their respective institutions, what have you. So this is bigger than that, you know, and this has also caused several massive terror shootings. When you look at it collectively, right? We've seen Myron May, Aaron Alexis, that Hispanic guy, and other shootings that are not talked about too much, and other killings that are a result of psychological warfare on individuals. And this also connects to the larger psychological warfare on society, you know, mind control, whatever you want to call it, psyop on society, you know, propaganda, media control, media influence. It also connects to the root cause of society's problems. And of course, it connects to the industry of death psychiatry that kills over 500,000 people every year, you know, with psych meds alone, not to mention cognitive and neurological damage. Okay, I've covered all these things before, but I'm gonna, you know, everything I've covered in this video, I've basically covered before, but I'm trying to put it into perspective for you. That's why I make so many different videos, because all the things that I talk about obviously are controversial issues that have idiots who try to pretend that I'm not right. So I come at it from different angles to thoroughly destroy their view and to give you all ideas on how you can combat them after I'm gone. Incidentally, I believe that after I'm gone, things will be very, very hopeless, unless there's some kind of divine intervention. So let me first, and I'll get into that later, let me first get into the psych ward. We have not defined the nature of reality. We have not solved the nature versus nurture debate. We do not understand the brain. There is no valid objective test to prove that someone has a mental disorder. It costs people money to go to the psych ward. It's very traumatizing. It's very oppressive. And the social stigma that comes with it, one can never get rid of. For the rest of their life, their family and whoever called the psych ward on them, almost certainly their family or wife or whatever, you know, will hold it over their heads. And because they have to be discharged to somebody, which is almost certainly their family will almost always hold it over their head, and they'll gossip with their friends and acquaintances about it, and it will, you know, it will go with them the rest of their life. And what have they done? Unless they have tried to commit suicide, which then calls for some sort of an intervention. I don't agree with psychiatry, but at least that is somewhat of a valid justification for sending someone to the psych ward. You know, someone screaming about how they're going to kill somebody, and not really. For example, you know, someone cut you off in traffic, says, I should have killed that bitch. It's disturbing, yes, but it is just kind of what we would expect, really. You know, in the society that we have, there's a lot of annoyances, a lot of background stressors, a lot of environmental factors. So, you know, I'm not surprised when anybody talks about who they want to kill, and I don't think that's justification for sending someone to the psych ward. I think it's rather petty and immature, even evil. Very much, you know, so, and very oppressive, intensely repressive when you're talking about political dissidents such as myself. So with that being said, you know, I don't think we should put people in the psych ward for thought crimes and the behaviors that are associated with thought, not necessarily breaking the law. And the reason why they're taken to the psych ward is because they haven't necessarily broken the law. They would be given some kind of a ticket or some bitch shit like that, and a restraining order at best. You know, these are not serious crimes that these people are doing when they're taken to the psych ward, for the most part. Anyway, it leads me to my last point, to the last key point of this video. If somebody who is targeted by the government has a skill that would make them famous, you know, a tennis player, a basketball player, a singer, an artist, you know, we should, you know, all targeted individuals, all of humanity should get behind that person and make that the center of the exposure of gang stalking. And anyone who does not do that is suspect. Well, why wouldn't you do that? What possible reason do you have? You don't like his political views? You don't like him? Why wouldn't you use him to expose this? Because this is the biggest part, you know, of a huge story. We have this huge story of oppression that includes the top martial artist. The top martial artist. If there's a cover-up of who is the top martial artist. This guy's better than fucking Bruce Lee. He would have beaten the shit out of Bruce Lee, and it's covered up. It is covered up. Why? Why on earth would the country with the most famous entertainment industry, with the most popular entertainment industry on the planet, the country that values martial artists perhaps more than any country as far as what is socially normative. Even China, you know, can be argued that they don't value martial arts as much as America does. Why then? Why on earth? You know, as far as what is socially normative, because of the social policies there. There's a lot of people that do. But when you talk about mainstream values, you know, we look up to our fighters, our boxers, our martial artists, perhaps more than any other country does. I'll leave it up to you to figure that one out. So then why wouldn't everyone get behind this person, say, you know, I'm going to bring this up. This guy, look at this guy. You know, you bring up Myra May and stuff. Why not bring up this guy? In a way, it is counterproductive and perhaps even counterintuitive to bring up Myra May. Because then you're stigmatizing us. You're saying, well, I'm like this guy who killed a bunch of people. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. You should bring him up. You should vindicate him. But one person you should bring up more. All cockiness aside. Think logic here. Don't try to say, well, he's guilty. You know, he just wants to be a celebrity or something. Think logic here. Put your pride aside. Put your prejudices aside. Think logically. Why wouldn't you expose what is on my shirt right here? You should all ask me for this image, and you should all spend, it cost me $14 to get this 3 extra large shirt. If it's extra large or lower, it's only $12 on eBay. Okay? Hell, I will send you your fucking shirt if you will make a video about it. I will send you this shirt if you promise to make a video about me. You understand what I'm saying? I'm Heru, the top martial artist, and you're a bunch of bitches that are covertly drugging me. Obviously, this is aimed at the people who are covertly drugging me, not everybody. So why wouldn't you get behind me? Why wouldn't you support me? The fact of the matter is, you're never going to see any spiritual bottom feeders get behind me or support me. They're going to say, well, you're going to have to change your stance on this. Because they have a complex. Something a Christian wouldn't do. A real Christian wouldn't say, you know what? This guy's not a Christian, so I'm not going to expose the demonic government. They would say anything to expose the demonic government before they corrupt my fellow man. But these complex-having bitches who are only concerned with their political agendas, they don't give a fuck about what's right and what's wrong. That is thoroughly established. They are the main people who came up with gang stalking. They're certainly not God-fearing people. They are atheists. They are Satanists. They are feminists. These are the philosophies that drive oppression. They are the LGBT people. They are eugenicists/racists. These are the philosophies that historically and obviously drive oppression. You will never see a real Christian oppressing anyone. You will see some kind of scumbag, materialistic dog, some wolf in sheep's clothes. I mean, when we're talking about the actual philosophy, not what someone claims, you can be a Satanist and oppress a whole lot of people. Nothing in the satanic philosophy stops you from oppressing anyone. Nothing in LGBT philosophies stop you from oppressing anyone. In fact, they demand that you do. They demand that you oppress Christians in order to allow for gay marriage, for instance. They demand that you oppress Christians and make a Christian marry you. These are the mainstream LGBT philosophies in their truest form. All the spiritual bottom feeding philosophies allow for oppression. In fact, oppression comes with that belief. To spread atheism is to oppress religion. It comes with that belief. But to be a true Christian, you don't oppress anyone. You say, well, you know what? We believe in Christians and Christian values. You know, we are forgiving. That's Christianity in its pure form. You can be an atheist in a Christian fucking country, in a real Christian country, and we're not going to oppress you. In fact, that's where this atheism movement came from. You know, one nation under God. We hold these things to be self-evident. Right? Christians were the revolutionary fighters who gave you America. Real Christians, for the most part. And atheism was allowed to spring up. But you don't see that in communist nations, do you? You see the oppression of Christians. So these philosophies, in their purest form, historically, obviously, breed oppression. That's why you're not going to see any of those people trying to help me out anytime soon. Because they don't care about exposing people that kill 65 million people a year. They care about their pathetic, inferior forms of thought becoming prevalent in society. That's all! Trust me, I've been arguing with these people a long time. They are sick in the fucking head. Anyway. That's part of the appeal of Christianity, isn't it? That we are superior. We are loving. They are hateful. We are empowering. They are oppressive. So stand with me. Help me expose this. The biggest part of the story in gang stalking is the oppression of the top martial artist who has 4,000 videos on YouTube alone. That is the biggest story here. That is the biggest injustice here. And I'm not taking away from what your struggles are. Every instance of gang stalking or psychological warfare on an innocent person is an act of injustice that needs to be taken very, very seriously. This story collectively is the biggest story there is, and it is untold. And that's why it's the biggest story. It's not the biggest story necessarily because it's the most important thing. It becomes obviously the biggest story because it's not being told. It's the elephant in the room that's not being addressed. And it connects, it connects to the war on terror. It connects to the pharma cost. It connects to abortion because it's the spiritual bottom feeders who have legalized abortion that are doing it. Thank you.